Good morning, my dear students. I'm back on revision of lesson 8, wind, storms and cyclones. Last class we discussed very short answers of this lesson, and today I'm going to continue with that. I'm going to discuss today short answer type questions and long answer type questions, that is alphabet H and alphabet I. Hope you have learned those question answers that we discussed last class. If you are then and there learning, which means you are on the safer side, because very soon you are going to face a quarterly exam. So start preparing and get ready for the exam. Okay, right. So the first question, short answer type questions. First is, how is a low pressure area formed? When warm air rises from the surface of the earth, it creates an area of low pressure. So I hope this you know. During a summer season, mostly the air in a particular area gets warm, and those air, because of dense less, it starts to move upwards. This is what explained in this answer. When warm air rises from the surface of the earth, and that results in the creation of a low pressure, and you know that continuation. Because of this low pressure, the air surrounding this place or site will start to move inside, and that results in the formation of wind. Again I repeat, when warm air rises from the surface of the earth, it creates an area of low pressure. This is the answer. Then second question, where do hurricanes occur? So as we learned in the lesson, the cyclones, they are classified into different types based on the place where they occur. Based on the place where they occur, in the sense there are some cyclones which occur in USA, there are some which occur in China. Okay, so based on that, various names are given, like hurricanes, tornado, typhoon, depression, etc. Okay, so here they are asking, where do hurricanes occur? Hurricanes occur in American continents. Okay, so you know there are various continents. In that, America is a continent where hurricanes occur. That is, the cyclones that occur in America are known as hurricanes. The answer is, hurricanes occur in American continents. So as I said in last class, even in many other classes I have said during revision, the answer might be one word or two word, but you should not write only that particular word alone. Okay, you should write in full sentence. So here you have to write, hurricanes occur in American continents. If you write that just one or two words, full mark will not be allotted, especially in 2 marks. Then third question is, what is a water spout? When a tornado is formed over a sea, it sucks up the water and looks like a giant grey snake. This is actually known as water spout. So when tornado occurs over a sea, so generally cyclones they suck what is in their path. So in that way, if they are in the sea comprising of full of water, the water is sucked up, and you come across a whirling twisting structure, a large whirling twisting structure which appears like a giant grey snake. So this grey color is because of the water along with the clouds. So this structure is actually known as water spout. Then fourth question is, what are the rain bearing winds known as? The answer is monsoon. That is, the rain bearing winds are known as monsoon. So simple, the name of the rain bearing winds are known as monsoon. So we call it as monsoon winds. Okay, that is the winds which bring rain. Okay. Then fifth question, what is atmospheric pressure? Our earth is surrounded by a layer of air known as the atmosphere. So you know that our earth is surrounded by up to a particular kilometer, almost some 200 kilometers, comprising of gases. We call that as air, and this is actually known as atmosphere. This layer of air is known as atmosphere. Again I repeat, our earth is surrounded by a layer of air known as atmosphere. Air exerts pressure over the objects present on the earth due to its weight. This pressure is known as atmospheric pressure. Okay, so both in liquids as well as in gas, a pressure is created always, and this pressure is actually known as air pressure. I repeat the second sentence. Air exerts pressure over the objects present on the earth. So which we have learned with some few activities, okay, in this lesson, where a piece of paper, when I blow air, a long piece of paper, instead of falling down, that piece of paper will stand erect because of the air pressure. That is one activity. And second one is a ball crushed, I mean a paper crushed and made into like a ball, placed over a bottle, mouth of the bottle. When I blow pressure, I mean when I blow air with pressure, when the pressure is more, when I blow more, the ball starts to fall down. So these are all some few examples which explains the atmospheric pressure. Okay, so again I repeat the second sentence. Air exerts pressure over the objects present on the earth due to its weight. So air has its own weight. Due to that, it exerts pressure on the objects, various objects that are found on the earth, and this pressure is known as atmospheric pressure. Then sixth question, what is a cyclone alert? What is a cyclone alert? So that is, when there is a cyclone, an alert is given to the public, and that is actually simply known as cyclone alert. So let me read the answer. Announcement for saving people before cyclone is known as cyclone alert. So what you can understand from this answer is, always the announcement is made well in advance. So at least 24 hours before the cyclone, an alert is made. Actually, not 24 hours, well in advance. I think you come across that there is a cyclone about to happen. So through various media, you are given awareness or warning about the cyclone. At least 24 hours before the cyclone, people are given awareness about the cyclone. Anyhow, the announcement for saving people before cyclone is known as cyclone alert. It is issued by meteorological department and announced by the government. So meteorological department is none other than a part of a government. So they actually announce this cyclone alert. So this is the answer. Okay. The next is long answer type questions. First question, how is a storm formed? Wind is the movement of air in the atmosphere, but a very strong wind is called a storm. This we have learned in the very first class of this lesson, chapter 8, that when the wind form, if it is of gentle and cool, it is known as breeze. When it is not cool and just a wind, it is called as a wind. And the same wind with the high pressure, it is known as storm. So this is what this first sentence explains. Okay, wind is the movement of air in the atmosphere, but a very strong wind is called a storm. When the movement of air increases because of pressure change, it becomes a storm. Okay, when the movement of air increases because of pressure change, it becomes a storm. It is generally accompanied by rain or snow and often by thunder and lightning. So if all this together occurs, that you, especially when thunder is occurring there, you call it as thunderstorm. Okay, so I read the last sentence. Storm is generally accompanied by rain or snow. So based on the region. Okay, so everywhere you don't come across snow, and when there is snow, there is no rain. Okay, so either snow or rain will be there, and also often, that is mostly, you come across thunder and lightning occurring along with storm. So I added to this answer, that is when thunder and lightning occurring in a storm, that kind of storm is actually known as thunderstorm. The second question is, how are wind current generated? Uneven heating of the equator and poles or uneven heating of land and water generates wind currents. So uneven heating. So everything, this full lesson is based on this uneven heating. That is, even means everywhere you come across the same kind of heating process. Uneven heating, which means in one place there is more temperature, whereas in the adjacent places where there is less temperature. So this is what is meant by uneven heating. Okay, so even opposite is uneven, that is equal, unequal, so similar terms. Okay, so the uneven heating of the equator and the poles. So here we are not talking about a particular area or a nagar. Okay, we are talking about the equatorial region with the polar regions, that is north pole and south pole of the earth. So you come across more temperature, more heating in the equator. We have already learned, because our earth is in such a shape, that is the equatorial region will be nearer to the sun compared to the polar regions, and because of that there will be more heat experienced in the equatorial region than the polar regions, and this is another reason why, this polar regions or arctic regions, they experience a freezing temperature, and they and where you come across snow instead of rain. So because of the low temperature. Okay, so freezing temperature. So again I repeat, uneven heating of the equator and poles or uneven heating of land and water. Okay, so that is land region, terrestrial region, and aquatic regions, that is water. This generates wind currents. So why we are saying about land and water? Because this uneven heating only results in the formation of land breeze and sea breeze. Okay, anyhow, so whether it is in the equator and the poles or whether it is in the land and water, when there is uneven heating, which results in the generation of pressure difference. So that is the second sentence. This uneven heating, okay, it is generated because of pressure difference in two different areas, that is equator and poles or land and water, which results in so-called wind current. So basically uneven heating is the first reason, and that results in the pressure difference, and third one is these two results in a formation of a wind current. Wind current is none other than simply wind. So the formation of wind is because of these two reasons. One, uneven heating. Second one is pressure difference. So they are giving two sides, one equator and poles, and second one is land and water. In both these cases you come across formation of a wind current. Then the third long answer type question is, how are cyclones formed? So this answer appears like a big answer, but actually if you understand the concept and if you go through the answer, you can understand that it is very simple. Okay, so always don't just worry about the size of the answer. Just think about the concepts. Okay, so if the concept is understandable by you, then it will be easy to memorize and recall the answers, provided you should be having English knowledge. Okay, so without English knowledge, so this is why English teachers always say to give importance to grammar. Okay, so if you are good in grammar, you will be able to frame sentence, and it will be easy for you to memorize as well as recall any kind of answers. Okay, right. And one more thing I can say, compared to your higher classes, so this is just simple only, because in higher classes, when you go to higher classes, you will be writing a very long answers. It may go for 2-3 pages, etc. Okay, sometimes 5 pages, etc. So keeping that in mind, this is a training for those situations, right? So how are cyclones formed? First point, water evaporates as it takes up heat from the surroundings and changes to vapor. That is, we are talking about a water body. It may be river or pond or sea. Okay, especially sea. So because of the heat, water starts to become vapor. So this, this is known as evaporation. The heat is released when the vapor condenses back to water and falls down as rain. That is, water evaporates and moves upwards, and at a particular point it forms clouds. So this is the first point. So when the clouds condenses to form rain, condenses means cools. So when the clouds cools to form rain, you come across heat being released. So this is the second sentence. This heat is released when the vapor condenses back to water and falls down as rain. Okay, can you understand this? Water evaporates and moves upwards and forms clouds. And again, when the clouds start to condense, so when there is condensation, that is a vapor becomes water, at the same time heat is released there. Okay, the released heat warms the atmosphere. So we are talking about near the clouds, not on the surface. Near the clouds, the heat is released, and that heat will start to warm the atmosphere there. The warm air rises and a low pressure area is created. So this is the next point. That is what you have learned in wind. Okay, so generally warm air rises and low pressure area is created. So air from the surrounding areas rushes to the center of the storm. Okay, so here storm is going to happen, or storm is happening. So you come across movement of air inside the, or towards the low pressure. From high pressure, the air surrounding this area where you come across high pressure, that particular air will start to move towards the site, that is towards the low pressure. As more and more air spirals inwards, so this we have discussed before, when the air with the force entering into this particular area where storm is happening, it will not move in a straight line. It will be in the form of a whirl, or it will be in the form of a spiral or circle. Okay, so it start to move in the form of a circle towards the center, which is forced to rise. So the whirl will start to rise upwards. So this whirling you might have noticed maybe in a school ground, etc., where you come across at one particular corner of this cathedral or church, where the leaves form a kind of whirling movement, and they arise to a particular height, maybe up to your knee. I don't know whether you have noticed. Okay, so since you have been in lockdown for the 2 years, you might not have been to assembly, and so I think you might not have noticed this. If you have noticed, which means you are lucky, or you might have noticed somewhere else also, not particular in our school, maybe somewhere else. So where you come across, because of small wind pressure, the leaves in the ground start to will and rise up to at least our knee level. Knee, okay. I hope you know what I'm trying to say. Okay, like this, when there is more pressure, along with water, okay, along with clouds, along with heat, along with pressure gradient, so the um, air makes the storm to form, that is with high force. So this is the sentence uh, trying to explain. Okay, as more and more air spirals inwards towards the center, it is forced to rise. This also draws more water vapor from the sea, which releases more energy to rise up. So here we are talking about everything more high, I mean high or more. High temperature, high pressure gradient, high movement of air from high pressure towards low pressure, and with force, high force. Okay, so everything happens with the high or more. So that is actually the significance of a storm. Okay, water vapor cools down as they rise, condense, and fall down as rain. So again we are going to the first sentence. Water vapor going up, it cools down, and again rise, they produce heat, etc, etc, etc. So it takes place in a cyclic manner. Okay, so actually the sentence again starts with the first sentence. Okay, what we discussed before, water vapor rising up, it forms cloud, again it cools down to form rain, and that releases heat. So blah 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 blah. Okay, so this takes place in a cyclic manner. This is what I'm trying to say. Okay, this cyclic chain of event results in the formation of a low pressure system with a high speed of winds revolving around it, and this is actually known as cyclone. Let me read out the answer again. Try to understand this answer. How are cyclones formed? Third question, how are cyclones formed? Water evaporates as it takes up heat from the surroundings and changes to vapor. This heat is released when the vapor condenses back to water and falls down as rain. The released heat warms the atmosphere. The warm air rises and a low pressure area is created. Air from the surrounding areas rushes to the center of the storm. As more and more air spirals inwards towards the center, it is forced to rise. This also draws more water vapor from the sea, which releases more energy to rise up. Water vapors cool down as they rise, condense, and fall down as rain. This cyclic chain of event results in the formation of a low pressure system with high speed winds revolving around it. This is known as cyclone. Okay, so I hope you understand this question. Okay, so read slowly, you will understand, or else you try my class where I have explained how cyclones are formed. So with this, let me finish today's session because already time's up. Okay, so we'll meet again with the remaining answers. Okay, we have still 4 more answers to explain. Let us end today's session with this. Okay, so your duty as usual is to read these answers, whatever we are discussing. Immediately read the answers and get ready for your quarterly exam. And the assignment for today is kindly write these answers in your notebook. So because even recently I met a student who said instead of reading the answers from the notes or from the book, he feels that it is easy to read from or through looking at his own handwriting. Okay, that is in the notebook. So this is the case. So there are certain circumstances where it is better to look into your own handwriting, and if you read, that will that will be memorized well in your brain rather than looking at a notes or looking at a printout, etc. I hope you understand. So for this reason, we are asking you to write in your notebook. Apart from this, when you write these assignments, it's a exercise for your hand, because when you go to higher classes, still you have to write more. And one more thing also, I when I met another student, the problem the problem with that student is time management. That is, he is not able to finish the exams within that particular time. So he reads all the answers, but he doesn't finds time to write the answers with that peculiar, that is with that particular time. For example, 2.5 hours. So he leaves certain answers and comes back, and because of that he is losing marks. So for this, training is writing assignments, writing homeworks. Okay, so it will pain, of course it will pain, but that pain is the exercise, almost like going to a gym and doing exercises, okay, there. So when you do kind of exercise, it may be going to gym or not, whether you do some kinds of games or playing or walking, so you will find or you will feel the pain, but that pain actually makes your muscles stronger. Similarly, with related to this homeworks given to you, it is actually an exercise for you. Okay, so just try to understand what we are giving. Okay, so it's all for your own good, and try to write these assignments, try to write the homeworks and read from your notebook, not simply following the printouts. Okay, right. So anyhow, kindly write these answers in your notebook. That is your assignment. As usual, read the answers immediately and try to recite to your parents. If you want paka mark, that is full marks, you can also write and see in a rough note. Okay, you have many old notebooks, take a notebook, unroll note and write and see, and maintain your handwriting always. Okay, thank you. God bless you.